Spangled Banner yet wave.
Matter with me now.
O'er the
Because I've been
land of the free and the home of the
Yes, sir. Reverend Marstella's here, and we have an announcement. Oh, let me introduce, I know she was properly introduced by State Representative Tyrone Brooks, but this is the First Lady of SCLC, my wife, and she also runs Justice for Girls and doing an outstanding job. And we're just proud she's able to make this press conference as well. Good to see you. I just want to introduce my friend, and I don't have to introduce him, but Reverend Marstella, and I have a statement to my favorite president, good to see you, who's here with us. And I just want to read a statement, and then we'll go from there. Media statement by Dr. Charles Steele Jr., National President and CEO of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, regarding public comments made on March 31st, 2015 by Georgia State SCLC President Reverend Samuel Marstella. As National President, on behalf of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, we have no doubt of the commitment of Reverend Marstella in his work towards civil rights and justice here in the state of Georgia. He has served SCLC and the state of Georgia with unwavering dedication and devotion. The Southern Christian Leadership Conference was founded and maintains its position against violence in any of the type that could be related to such an incident. We are founded on the bedrock of nonviolence, and we encourage these principles as we seek social justice, social change in American society and around the world. Although our organization does concur that the justice system in America has too often failed communities of color, particularly our black youth. In reviewing the comments made by the Reverend Marstella on Wednesday, March 31st, we have found that his comments do not represent nor reflect the principles and position of this organization.
Let me just say it this way. I am going to have to advocate at this point that all African Americans advocate their Second Amendment right.
As a result of the comments, the following action will be instituted immediately. And I said Wednesday, I think yesterday was what? Tuesday. Okay, I want to make that correction. Nor reflect the principles and position of this organization. As a result of the comments, the following action will be instituted immediately. Agreed upon by the National Office and Reverend Marstella. The first one is indefinite suspension as state president, effected immediately. Participation in internal investigation, undergo internal training program. And Reverend Marstella has agreed to all of these concerns. Due to the nature of this investigation, there will be no additional comments on this matter at this time, with the exception of your asking me questions now. I do give you the privilege.
Any questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
Kind of off topic.
Sure.
The SCLC fought pretty hard to get a heart transplant for Anthony Stokes, and then
Right.
you saw the news yesterday.
Right.
What do you say to critics who say this is kind of what we thought may happen and why he
Right.
should have gotten the heart to begin with?
And I would yield to Reverend Marstella because he worked very hard on that, and out of respect for him, I was working with him in advisory capacity, but I'll let him respond.
First of all, the criterion protocol for the heart transplant.
Yes, sir.
The heart transplant is weighted against poor people. It's weighted against anybody who's poor or had any kind of incident or accident, particularly those of color, to the point that almost none of the young black people are eligible for a heart transplant. That's the first thing. Second thing, the medical institution told this young man and his mother and his grandmother in 3 different sessions that you're going to die. and we're gonna give you some medication, we're gonna send you home, and in 3 to 4 months, you're going to die. So they basically gave him a death sentence. And so at that point, the grandmother came to Miss Christine Young Brown and her chapter, and we ran through the intake process and took it up and went to talk to children from Atlanta. And they said, well, our finding is that Anthony has been non-compliant. We asked, well, what was that? Because Anthony had no medical history. He had never been to see a doctor, had never been in the hospital any time in his life. And so they couldn't explain what that was, so we had a press conference and said the same thing. Now, going back to your question, you said they thought that would happen. Well, nobody can predict what a teenager will become. Look at your own record. Look at your own history. Look at all of your mistakes. So how is it that we can look at a 14-year-old and say, oh, we're going to give you a death sentence so you'll die in the next 4 to 6 months? No, we don't have any problem standing behind what we did for Anthony Stokes. And let me say this unequivocally, as a minister of the gospel and member of SCLC, we would have done it again if we got the chance, knowing what we know now.
And I think it was, I need to come in and just come back in support of that particular case, because I did support it.
Yes, sir.
And Reverend Marstella kept me abreast day by day, hour by hour. And I kept saying, yes, continue, continue. It was the most humane thing to do. And if I had to do it again, I would support Reverend Marstella on that. Other questions? Yes.
What does an investigation consist of?
Well, we have an executive board, first of all, and we have the best trainer, Dr. Bernard Lafayette, who is our chairman of the board on conflict reconciliation. He's the best, in my opinion, in the world. And I traveled the world with Dr. Lafayette, even to the Middle East. We have an office where he trained people on peace and nonviolence. And that's what Reverend Marstella is all about. And I'm pretty sure he'll be the first to tell you that he probably will misconstrue in what he said. He didn't mean it the way it came out. But he's one of our stellar representatives. He has agreed to the suspension. He has agreed for the training that we, including myself. We're going to go back to the table, and you always have to go back to the basics. Like being a football player, a basketball player. I mean, when I tried to play ball, the coach will always say, now it's time to go back to the basics. Not only is he going back to the basics, our chairman, we have our staff, they all will be working with me, along with Reverend Marstella. We all need to go back to the basics every so often, and he has agreed to this.
Is there something particular to this moment in history right now that led to the passion and
Well, yeah,
emotion?
that's a very good question. I mean, my wife is my witness. My pastor, Reverend Smithmore from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, heard about this. He called me about 10 o'clock last night. And he said, Doc, tell Reverend Marstella, they were together just a couple months ago. I love that brother. That's what he said. Tell Reverend Marstella, and he spent time with my pastor, tell Reverend Marstella I know his heart. But my pastor also said, there's a lot of frustration out here. He said, Charles, I'm a minister of the gospel. I know I was called by God. Something got to be done. And he said, Reverend Marstella is so concerned about what's taking place in law enforcement, in society. He said, I could do it, you could do it, any of us, because we're so passionate about this. Reverend Marstella talked to me early this morning. He said, Doc, I was just passionate. And I said, Reverend, you don't have to explain no more. We talked last night. I know you believe that we need to convey a better approach and solve these problems. And it's hard, but it's not going to happen overnight. And I know your passion toward this. And you don't have to tell me that it came out the wrong way and they took it the wrong way. I said, we know that. This is the best nonviolence advocate for SCLC that you will ever find. But he also agreed that he would be suspended for a period of time, and we'll go back to the basics on training. And I commend this leader, this young man. He's younger than me, he's a young man. This young man, this stellar of a leader in our community, for accepting the fact that we all need to go back to the training. We're going to be working with Dr. Bernard Lafayette, and we will all be better because of this.